We are rolling.
Good morning. Welcome back to the conversation. This is Pointing Out the Obvious. This is our news and politics webcast, our daily take on what's buzzing today. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, and over there is my very opinionated producer, Veronica. Together, we're here to quip and quiver through today's headlines, searching for the real, no matter how deep in the swamp we need to go. Good day to you, Veronica. You know we get excited. One of the aims of this show is to applaud and recognize leadership when they adhere to the values of the pursuit of happiness for all Americans, correct? And today we're going to be applauding Representative Liz Cheney, the representative from the great state of Wyoming, a Republican, mind you, who has gone on record to say she was wrong. She's reversing herself on gay marriage. In 2013, if you recall, she had voted against and incited against legislation that would have allowed gay marriage, and that really put her at odds with even her sister, Mary, who happens to be gay herself and is actually married to her life partner. So today we want to applaud Liz Cheney for being a leader courageous enough to stand up and do two things. One, acknowledge that homosexuals is a real thing, right? There's still a segment of our American nation that still believes that homosexuality is a kid that got dropped on their head one too many times. How do you want to describe it? I don't know. Don't want to jump into that, but you get what I'm saying. But not only to recognize that they are part of our fabric of our nation and our society, but to also that they should enjoy the rights that all people enjoy, to include marriage, to include health insurance coverage, to include benefits, to include state acknowledgement for when it comes to the next of kin rules. So a lot of things really ride on allowing two people who are in love and want to spend the rest of their lives together and build a family and a home together. A lot rides on that legal acknowledgement of your bond in marriage, right? Even from a tax return standpoint, being able to file in a certain way will sometimes depend in stateside of whether or not you're a man and a woman versus a man and a man. We know this. The question, I believe, has been answered, at least in my mind and my heart and in most people's minds and hearts, but yet we still debate it, right? Yeah. It still comes around. Why? Because most of the other side, let's say the conservatives, the ultra-conservatives, now we're dipping into the Tea Party side of things, you know, the evangelical side of things, where the homosexuality questions becomes very tricky. Right? You know, even the acknowledgement that they actually exist becomes now a question that you have to debate to somebody who's of that ilk. Yeah. How do you feel from a younger generation's perspective that a person from that side of the aisle has stood up and said, yes, I was wrong to oppose that gays exist, and I was wrong to oppose them getting marriage? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, the cynic part in me makes me think that the only way for her to change was by having, you know, a gay sister, right?
Very good. I agree.
I mean, looking at her face and looking on her past, I don't buy the idea of like a change of heart. You don't change your, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I don't believe it. I do believe that she actually realized that there's people, and I mean, they're not different. They're just people that like different sex, the opposed sex, right?
Well,
so I don't buy her change of heart. I don't buy that she changed. I just think that she is feeling and experiencing what it is to have someone that you know, it's gay, and now she's like, shoot, you know, they have feelings, and I know my sister is not a bad person, and why should I treat this person differently? So yeah, that's BS from my point of view.
Liz Cheney has a real special story specifically. So by all accounts, even her own, her and her gay sister married had a wonderful, strong, and loving relationship growing up. They were thick as thieves throughout their childhood, and it wasn't until later when Liz Cheney entered politics as a Republican conservative in the great state of Wyoming that it became an issue for her to take a stand, right? Her father, Dick Cheney, he had to deal with it, but because his political aspirations were always so muted, it never really became a hindrance in his career for him to stand by his daughter, which he always did, give him credit. But now what I love about the message here is that it finally shows, once again, social proof that the question of homosexuality it needs to be answered in everybody's mind with finality so that we can move on as a society to progress even further, right? Every time we roll back around and do a U-turn on a question that's already been decided, we put ourselves in pause.
Yeah.
Socially, emotionally, strength-wise, we put ourselves on a pause in our growth because we're just rehashing what we already know to be true, right? Is this question ever going to change? Homosexuality, do they exist? Is that in this room mind ever going to change? No, right? There's homosexuality in this world. We just have to accept it. And so now what about the pursuit of happiness? Does the Constitution, does the rules that we set in place for how we're going to govern ourselves in this country apply to everybody? The answer is yes. Yeah. Then what are we talking about?
Well, let me ask you, just to finalize the point, do you think if the sister was not gay, we were going to be seeing this type of change of heart, or just because the sister is gay, that's what we're facing this?
No question. Specifically with Liz Cheney, it was absolutely I think she has come around when she attacked Trump and went through the gauntlet of hate and lies. She realized, wait a minute, there's more at stake here than just my political career, right? Liz Cheney, among all things, I will give her this as a credit. She's a patriot. I really believe in my heart that since she has gone through that baptism of fire through having to oppose the 2020 election lie, which she's still doing to this day, I think she has a change of heart, not only as a politician, but as a person. And I think now she's going to be the champion of truth. And one of the things that she's championed, not only just the January 6th insurgency and defining that and also making sure that history gets it right, but she's also taking care of the gay question as well. It's done. It's answered. Move on. It's done, right? I mean, final note. The gay question is answered. Do they exist? Yes or no?
Definitely they do. We're debating someone changing, but only because she's experiencing something with the sister. So once again, did she really change for the community, or did she change because she was in the right time at the right moment with the sister being gay? So I mean that's my question. And once again, it's not, we don't have a right or wrong answer. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But and then it's kind of like silly for me to say, oh, I don't agree with this, but and then someone in my family is experiencing the same thing, and then now I do agree. Never mind, I do agree. So that's the cynic in me that don't believe that if she didn't have those circumstances in her life, she wouldn't have come out and said, yes, gay people, you're real.
I think it was the other way around. I think if it wasn't for political need, she would never have come out against gay people or gay marriage. It was for political need in the conservative state of Wyoming that required her to say those things. But now, that's where the change of heart really occurred.
Whatever that is.
She's finally deciding to say, political career be damned. I was raised to be an honest, patriotic person. I'm going to run myself as a representative for the great state of Wyoming as a patriotic and honorable person. And I think that's what we're seeing as social proof, and we need to see that so that we can move past the simple questions that have already been answered time and time again. Guys, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, but there is your opinion. Please don't just subscribe to the show, even though we will be doing this back and forth on a daily basis, but lend your voices to the show. It'll make it a whole lot more interesting. Guys, you already know, but I'll say it again. It doesn't matter if you lean to the right, it doesn't matter if you lean to the left. As long as you're treating the person in front of you kindly, you just made the world a better place. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.